No internet problems, I hope. All right. Yes, we are live. All right. Welcome, Dark Side. It's been a long time since we have gone live. I'm super excited. Today we are going to talk about Loki. And of course, I'm not going to do it by myself. I have brought some guests with me. So make sure you have your questions together. Listen, I told you guys that there was a whole bunch to catch in this show. So we're going to talk about all of that too. We're going to probably get into some other superhero stuff as well. So we're going to have a good time and hang out. Thank you all so much for joining me. All right, let me bring my folks in. 1 second. All right, there they are, Darksiders. The illustrious crew is here.
I'll take that.
So
I like that.
So I'm just lucky to be here.
So awesome, man. I'm so excited to have you all. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm just gonna let you guys introduce yourselves. Let's say Ramon, let's start with you, man, since you're the trooper here, really. And you gotta tell people what time it is where you are.
Okay, so my name's Ramon. I've just started a channel called Hit or Miss TV where we do film, trends, news and reviews. I'm in the UK. It's now 12:30, midnight 30. Welcome. Hi. And I just went out for a nice meal and just had a nice steak, which was good.
Oh, that
and
sounds good.
And I had a few JD and Cokes, and I've got
done,
some. I've got some. Yeah, I've got some down there, and I thought I better be on my best behaviour because it's the first time I'm doing a live.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Durbin.
What's up? Oh, hold on. I hit the wrong button on my phone, and it's making noise. Okay. I'm Durbin, and I have this channel called Durbania, and I do movie reviews and ranking videos and this thing called a theological analysis where I like to go find God in movies and all that fun stuff. So definitely come on over, check out Durbania.
Awesome. All right, Stevie.
Hello, I'm Stevie Cade. I'm from the channel called Film Trigger. I've actually been friends with Durbin for over 20 years, believe it or not. He's the one that convinced me to start this channel. But yeah, you can find me on YouTube. I'm the only Film Trigger there is. Also the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even Vero if you're into that. So
all right, cool. And then Matthew, I just got your message too, Matthew.
Yeah, I did this once by accident. So go over to YouTube and just make sure it's set to public. Because one time I was streaming live to private and nobody could see it.
Yeah, because I linked it up in my video, my channel and everything.
Okay.
Some people are not seeing it.
Okay. All right. Let me go and see what's going on.
Hope we don't have to do intros all over again.
Well, except for the playback. On the playback, everything's like normal.
Yeah, no worries about that. All right, let me switch over and see what's happening. Because it's very possible I did that before. This is my first time. Stevie, I should have called you because I started to call you earlier just to see if I could connect with you because you use this a lot.
Yeah, it has the settings when you create it on StreamYard if you want it public or private or unlisted.
Oh, yeah, I remember I streamed the entire first third of a video to a private video one time, and I went, why is there 0 people watching? Where are the oh, come on. Seriously?
You'd expect at least one guy, but 0?
Right.
Yes.
Where am I daggone? Now I can't find the daggone stream. Hold on.
Check your settings in StreamYard.
No, but I'm on YouTube now to make sure, like Matthew said, that I didn't have it as private. Where's my phone?
If you go into your YouTube studio and you go to content, you click live, you can see the list of your live videos. That's where you should find this, and then you could switch it to public.
Okay. And you're right.
Again, because I've made this mistake.
Had it on private. There we go.
And now we are here.
Now we're live. Now I see it.
All right, there we go. I get the Genius Award.
Well, hey, you're joining the club with illustrious people like myself who have received the Genius Award for the very same things.
I've literally just written all of that down on my notepad, so when I do get around to doing live, I'm bound to make the same mistakes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there we go. There
Yeah,
we
Hey,
go.
that's my wife. She's the
Okay.
one confirming that it's up on YouTube. Thank you, Laura.
All right, perfect. All right, so it's up again. Listen, you know what, you guys, we probably will just, how many, what do we have here? We got 4 folks. I know some folks should be popping on because I've gotten some confirmations from some of the dark siders. So, all right. Well, apologies to everybody out there. You know, we're working this out. It's my first time using StreamYards. So thanks for everybody who's hanging out. What's going on? I know we got 6, 7. There we go. The numbers are rising. So, so listen, we'll just do intros again. Welcome everybody. We'll just go through it, and Raymond, if you can introduce yourself again, because you know we had some.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Hi guys, my name's Ramon. I'm on a brand new channel called Hit or Miss TV, and I'm very grateful and happy to be on here tonight. I'm in the UK, by the way, and it's now 12:36 midnight, late.
Wow. Or technically early. I mean, it's
Early,
now morning.
yeah,
You've gone
it's
past
morning.
nighttime into the morning hours.
Durbin and your bright side of looking at things.
I try to have the bright
honestly,
side.
you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Awesome. Is it my turn now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I'm Durbin, and I look on the bright side of things, and I do that on my channel, Durbania, and I do movie reviews, rankings, and I do this thing called a theological analysis where I like to find God in movies. Been going through this show called The Chosen. Had a blast doing that, finding a new audience. So come on over, check all of that stuff out.
Awesome. All right, Stevie, you're up.
Yes, I am Stevie Cade. I'm from the channel Film Trigger. Like Durbin, I do movie reviews or just movie talk of any sorts, live watch parties of movies, all that sort of fun stuff. You can find me on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Vero, and of course, solely or mostly here on YouTube.
All right, Matthew.
Hey everyone, my name is Matthew. You can find me on YouTube at Matthew V. Haynes. And I also do what these guys do, movie reactions, movie reviews, TV show reactions, and all that great stuff. So if you guys want to see me freak out about some things and
I love your thumbnails, Matthew.
screams.
I love your thumbnails so much. Every time they pop up in my feed.
There's the endorsement right there from Durbin.
There you go. Oh, man, you know what? Matthew, I just thought about something. So wait, man. So, dude, when you move, what's gonna happen with you and Moms and Flash?
We're gonna do that virtually. We did a couple of those virtually.
Okay.
Okay.
So we did 2 of them this week virtually. So
Okay.
no worries there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to some folks I see popping in. Jen Han just jumped in. Jaden just jumped in. Shout out to everybody. To Bay Butterfly. I know General should be showing up pretty soon. So listen, let's jump in, you guys. Let's talk Loki. And the first question that I have is just what your overall thoughts are about this show, especially when you think about the 2 shows that we had before, which is WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. How are you feeling about Loki? And just jump in.
Well, I'll tell you this. For me, I was super happy about it because I felt like when you asked me first to come onto the stream, I had actually watched it immediately, even though I said I couldn't make it. So I watched it immediately after, and I fell in love with it. I loved it from beginning to end, and mostly because I was expecting it to fall into suit with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which took me a few episodes before I actually enjoyed them, and it didn't do that. This seemed like a genuine, continuous story from Endgame, and that's what I loved about it.
This is my favorite so far, and it's only the first episode because I know with WandaVision, the first 3 like by the time I got to that 3rd episode, I was like, okay, come on, okay, like I get the gimmick. Show me the Marvel stuff. How I need to see behind the curtain. Episode 4 on, I was really hooked on WandaVision, and it improved the first 3 episodes. And I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier was fine. I think it would have been better if it was a movie where they trimmed the fat and you could just do something in the vein of Winter Soldier. But I didn't hate it. I liked it. But this first episode, it had this weird, like, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Men in Black vibe. And I loved, like, kind of the quirkiness of it. Like Stevie said, like, this seamless continuation from Endgame. And it was brilliant. And it had these moments of emotion as Loki is like watching his life on that screen. And so I think it did a really good job. And this episode was just set up. But what it's setting up for was really, really good. So if this show continues to deliver, it's my favorite.
All right. Matthew, what do you think?
I'm just gonna echo what Durbin and Stevie said. I mean, for a first episode, it really like caught my attention immediately, and as they said, it felt like a genuine continuation from Endgame, like straight from when we saw Loki disappear to when he ended up in Mongolia, and then we got that really cool are we doing spoilers in this conversation?
Yep.
Yeah, we get that really cool. Okay, I have to make sure. We get that really cool new technology that was introduced to us with the whole slow-mo thing and the neck thing. I'm like, whoa, this changes everything. And then the stuff with the Infinity Stones, I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that later on, but like even with that, I'm like, this changes everything. Like everything we've seen this last decade, this changes it. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, I can't wait to see next week, because like I said, Falcon and Winter Soldier, it took me about maybe 4 episodes to get into, and then at that point the season was almost done.
yeah
And then WandaVision, once they as Durbin said, they removed the curtain, that's when it started to really cook up. But this is a whole different level. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Now, I agree with what a lot of you all said. And what really impressed me about this was a number of different things. Just number one, starting with the chemistry between Wilson and Owen Wilson and oh man, what's Loki's
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. Like I said in a review that I did about this, that I feel like that's going to be part of what really makes this show special. But I also love like the visual appeal of this show, that how we kind of got this higher level or advanced technology mixed with kind of this rustic look. So I like that as well. And plus I think it's a huge setup for the expansion of the MCU, which I think is needed, because I've heard some people grumble about how they really feel like the MCU has declined after Endgame. So I don't feel that way. But I think this show kind of sets us up for a whole bunch of things to come. And there were a ton of Easter eggs in this. A ton. I actually wrote some of them down because I'm wondering like how many did people see in the show.
Did you hear that line where they talked about the madness of the multiverse? And then you have Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness coming up. Yep. Oh man.
Yeah. No, so I mean, you had that in there, so I feel like there's a setup for so many different things, in which I felt this episode did a good job with. I know that some people, and I'm wondering if any of us felt like the episode dragged a little bit. Some people,
no,
I didn't feel that way either.
I think the first episode was perfect. I mean, compared to the other shows, before any of them was released, I was most excited for Loki. I mean, to be honest, all of them. I was excited for all of them. Loki probably the most. I think WandaVision's first episode I loved, because I like the whole black and white, the idea of everything. But I think this, like you guys have said, I think this drew me straight away, because it picked up from where it picked up, and you're literally straight in it. And there was something that no one's mentioned, and I don't know, it might be me just being a bit crazy and thinking too much. But when I was watching it, you remember the scene when he first arrives and he's walking with Owen Wilson, and it shows you the outside, the outside. All I could think of, I don't know why, all I could think of was Blade Runner, and the way all of the setting was. It just reminded me of Blade Runner 2049 when they're in the hotel with Harrison Ford. I don't know why. It just had that futuristic kind of. I don't know why, it just popped in my head as I was watching it, and I'm just thinking it kind of gave me everything that I wanted in the show. And so, like I know we were saying beforehand, I can't really understand where there's been negative reviews about the episode, because I don't really understand that. I don't understand that at all.
I thought about the Jetsons, by the way, when you
it
gave
me vibes of like different things, and it just like popped out, like the lift scene. They're in the lift. I know this is crazy. It's when they're in the lift, and it's like that brown color with the light. It kind of made me think of The Shining as well. I don't know, like the tone of it, the way that I don't know. I just thought there was so many little things in it. I just loved it. I loved it.
I saw a review that said it was I'm not gonna say who, just because I don't want to, egg anyone, but
Right.
This specific user, company or whatever, said that it was clunky and it was slow, and I'm like, clunky? No. I'm like, where'd you get clunky from? I'm like, no. I was like, no way, because I didn't feel bored at all during any of this.
I didn't either.
Not at all. I thought by the time it ended, I was like, wait, that's it?
Yeah. That was the same way.
I heard had to do with Thanos. Like, if Thanos was so powerful, like that, he had to hold the stones, but with a glove. But if he was as powerful as he was, wouldn't he have known about this? And that was their biggest criticism. And my only answer to that criticism is no. He was doing what he was supposed to do in his timeline. And if you're living out your purpose in your timeline, good or bad,
there's no need for you to know.
Exactly. So for all the power that Thanos this is greater.
Yeah, because
it's interesting that you bring that point up, Durbin, and that's what I meant by there's so much going on in this show, so much to think about, right? And it will cause you to think about some of the other things you've seen in MCU movies and put them in kind of a different perspective. But Raymond, I want to go back to something you said, which I thought was interesting when they were looking out at kind of the expanse of where they were at the time. What is it? The time TW? I always want to say TWA. I know it's an airplane. The time Variant Authority, and it was interesting because Loki makes a response there, and he says to Mobius that I thought there was no magic here. And he says there isn't. So that makes me think that most of what we saw was technology, which is interesting because that is a callback to the conversation that Thor was having with Jane when he was talking about magic and technology.
I didn't connect that.
Yeah, I want to add a thought to that too. Actually, when I mentioned that this changes everything, that's exactly what I mean. Like everything that we think we know, it's like everyone has their own philosophical thoughts on life in general. But when they say you think you know something and then you find out something else, you're like, wait a minute, is what I thought really what I thought? It's the same thing that can be applied to this. It's like you seeing this other thing that exists outside of space and time, sort of like the Speed Force or something like that, another dimension, other force, and it controls everything. And it's basically saying everything is predestined. And there's no magic, and it's all this weird technology. And like you said, Thor was saying this. That's just an advanced technology. You guys are just slow. You guys are just behind.
And to add to what you're saying, Matthew, this is incredible. The most powerful scene in this show is when the reveal comes. Oh yeah, we use Infinity Stones as paperweights.
I love that.
Everything
so much.
we think we know.
Yeah.
Striving, the death, the war over Infinity Stones, and in this realm, they're paperweights.
Yeah. It changes everything in a good way. Like it elevates. It's not regurgitating the same stuff. Here's another stone-like thing. It changes the reality of what we consider the Marvel Cinematic Universe to be. Now, to play devil's advocate a little bit, I haven't read any any reviews about this yet. But you guys say that there's some bad reviews saying it was clunky and slow. There were moments in the show, even though I liked it from beginning to end, there were moments in the show where I could see people perceiving it as that. And that's especially people that probably follow the MCU very closely. They're getting a lot of information given back to them, like, Loki watching, his timeline could kind of seem exhausting for somebody who's already watched all those movies and know what's going on. But I had to put myself in a position of this was made for somebody who maybe has never seen any of the films, and this is their way to get introduced into that world. So that's how I'm going to take, that criticism of them saying it was slow at certain points, because I did catch that, but that's how I justified it in my head.
That's a really good point, Stevie. Yeah. But when I was watching those things, I wasn't exhausted. I was like, I want this variant to see those scenes. I want to see like your reactions, Matthew, on the Flash. It's like people want to see your reactions. Same way I wanted to see variant Loki's reaction to his timeline. I was like, what would this Loki think of that? And I was very happy we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Steve, what you said makes so much sense.
So it's funny, Steve, that you mentioned that, because I thought that was great how they had Loki kind of looking at the events that happened, and especially when he gets to the event of his death. because
Yeah.
I was devastated, mate. I'm not going to lie. I was devastated.
I know, Ramon. I remember watching the video where you talked about that.
I couldn't help it, like, because I love Loki so much. Like, it just, yeah, I just loved it.
No, I mean, I think all of that makes this whole thing interesting, and that's why I even said, or when I talked about it over on the Dark Side channel, I said you almost have to see it twice, like to really appreciate all that's going on in that first episode. So because again, like Matthew said, like it upends everything. So it's crazy to think like when you see Infinity Stones in a drawer, thrown in a drawer with other knickknacks, and half of humanity was wiped out from those things, and in this place it doesn't really have, it has no real impact.
It has no meaning.
Do you know what's funny about that? When you're talking about that, normally when I'm watching something like this, if that's put in something, if something like that is put into a show like this in the wrong way, that could, in my opinion, that could have gone so bad. Because normally I would pick up on, I'm the sort of person, I'll look at something like that and go, well, wait a minute, what about what with Thanos? But it was done in a way where I didn't question it in a sense of that's ruined everything, because it's not really, I don't know the right way to put it. It's not really it's not really mocking what happened. It's like you say, this is here. It's meant to be here. But I can't explain what I'm trying to say. But you know what I mean? I wasn't offended by the way that they handled it. Because that's some of the things that I've seen online is them people sort of complaining about the Infinity Stones. I'm like, no, you.
I was actually gonna bring that up too. Someone, I don't know if we're like reading comments or anything, Al. I don't know if that's something that we can address, like questions from the comments yet or something.
Yeah, we can. Let me see if I can show it. Was it Jinhan's comment?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to that with a thought I had.
Which one was it, Matthew? Was it?
I think it's just the general idea that about it not feeling. I mean, about it feeling that it was nothing.
Was it that one?
Yeah. I mean, it was just like a whole bunch of comments, but what I had to say about that, because that's not the first time I've seen a comment like that. I've actually seen people say that was a concern, like what Ramon was talking about. I keep saying Ramon. Oh my lord!
No, that's okay. It's all good. It's all good.
I'll get it by the end of the stream. But a lot of people have been saying that this was all for nothing. It's a waste, and what these guys did. Tony Stark died for no reason, and I get those questions, and I understand it, and I see why people would feel that way. But I more or less look at it as like when the judge, the prosecutor, or whoever that person was, told Loki that no, that's what the Avengers was supposed to do.
Supposed to happen, yeah.
And like Durbin mentioned, like this was good or bad. What Thanos did was supposed to happen in the natural flow of things. And even the Ancient One, if you go back to Endgame, talked about this as well.
Yeah.
So, whether or not Tony Stark was supposed to die, regardless, it wasn't all for nothing. It was all part of it was a cog in a big machine of time and the flow of time. And it was supposed to happen that way. So he didn't die for nothing. He died because he was supposed to.
You also got to keep in mind, because that is a very good comment and a very good point, but this is just the first episode. The whole point of this episode is to stir the pot, to maybe tick you off a little bit, to give you that different perspective, because we're going to dive deep into this stuff. So, like, for instance, you look at that little monitor that has that flow of time. It's only one stream. And whenever there's a branch, they just go in with that little device and cut off the branch. So here you have, like, there are no branches right now. It seems like there is no multiverse. There is the sacred timeline. But you know the concept of this. We're building to Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. There is going to be a multiverse. This episode ended with, I guess, some other Loki variant. We can talk about our theories about that later. Yeah. And he got rid of the thing that trims the branch. So now we're going to have a wild branch growing. And so what's going to happen is these things that we're tackling right now, these questions of free will, the choices of the Avengers, the choices of Thanos, we've only hit the surface. So we got to let it tick us off, because we got to let it draw us in so that we're asking the right questions, so that as the show progresses, man, we're really watching and paying attention.
So that's an interesting point. And what I think is interesting about that is that perhaps Loki is getting ready to set up the multiverse. I mean, we see some hints of that, like right in the show, them talking about it. And we do know that now Marvel has done a lot of things to expand what they can do, because now we have time travel. Obviously, Loki is dealing with that as well. But I do feel like this show might be setting up something like that. The multiverse will probably get an expansion of it in Doctor Strange. So that's why I think a show like this is thought provoking, and it's probably more important than what a lot of people think. And Feige said that this is going to be like a pivotal show for phase 4. So like all those things are exciting, and I don't want to forget to talk about Wanda and Nexus being because that's a big deal with this too. So
real quick, as you guys were discussing, one thing that I did think about that kind of did bother me during the show, and it's a minor detail, and I apologize if somebody said something and I missed it, but I found a problem. Like, I always found myself wondering why exactly Loki is in trouble. You have these people,
I asked that in my review.
Controlling this timeline, and Loki just does Loki. He just does what Loki does. He's mischievous, and he did just that. Why is he being punished for just doing that? Like, he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
I actually have an answer for that.
Ooh, I want to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
So somebody who watches The Flash, and all this crazy stuff in The Flash. The Flash is something else, man. We're not going to mention that. But what I'm thinking, this is just my theory. But remember, they were going back in time, right? And then you would ask the question, okay, so if they were supposed to do this, wasn't it supposed to happen? But they went back in time. Loki was supposed to end up, back on Asgard, but he didn't. That wasn't supposed to happen. But then he would ask the question, which is why I see why you asked the question. But wait, if he didn't end up in Asgard this time, wasn't that supposed to happen?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna try to overcomplicate it in my mind, because I do see where you're coming from with that question. It's a great question.
Well, but they do address it a little bit, because Loki's like, hey, the Avengers should be here, and like,
exactly.
Yeah, and they kind of gloss over that. Well, that was supposed to happen. Like, at one point in time, the Tesseract ended up in Loki's hands. I just don't see how that's Loki's.
But think about this other unanswered question: are the timekeepers good or bad? And what does this mean that they're keeping time? And what exactly is the sacred timeline? So we don't even know their motives yet, or understand why something is supposed to happen or not happen.
Very good point, Durbin.
And let me tell you, I'm sorry, because that question, Durbin, gets me excited, because I linked that question to Kang, and then and I wonder what his impact will really be with the timekeepers, because in the comics, there's a very close relationship with Kang. So that's what I'm talking about, man.
Explain Kang, okay? I don't read a lot of Marvel.
Kang is like a CEO in this whole. I don't know who wants to explain it. I'll
Well, no, go ahead, Matthew. Go ahead.
Kang is a very in-depth character. He has his foot in pretty much every major story within the comic books. He was even Iron Lad at one point. Like he doesn't have any superpowers. He's from the future. He has really advanced technology, and which would make him seem like he has powers.
Right.
And he goes back constantly over and over again, changing things the way he wants to change them. And sometimes he would appear as other villains as well, which is, even though it's a meme now, the whole thing as Mephisto, there was a point too where people thought that Kang was Mephisto with WandaVision, but he's like Al said, he has his hands in very close with the timekeepers, and he can be very troublesome.
Now
very troublesome.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I almost, when I think about Kang, like I almost title him or qualify him as almost like a time overlord. He's really, he's really, I mean, he just goes, he bounces up and down the timeline, basically putting stuff to his advantage, and he's just become like a master at it. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes in. And again, like that's why I feel like Loki is so important, because I feel like it really is the explosion of what we're going to get in the fourth, man. I don't know. You know what? I need a cast in.
They did mention the Nexus thing too, though. I just remember that Because I saw Jaden make a good point about him being a Nexus being. It's also a good
Oh
point.
yeah, Jaden did say that. Let me post Jaden's point. Thank you, Jaden. You get the post, buddy.
So
I do have a
idea
question,
the
though, for you guys
Nexus
at some
is that
point.
point where they're doing a divergent timeline, right? So that's the Nexus point.
Yes.
So then what is the difference between a Nexus point and a Nexus being?
So a Nexus being, if I'm understanding this correctly, and somebody tune me up if I'm not, so just jump in and correct me. But if I'm understanding it correctly, and in the comments too, you guys, if I'm getting this wrong, somebody say something. We'll post it up if I'm getting it wrong. A Nexus being, because of their ability to manipulate energy, that's one of the reasons why Wanda is a Nexus being, and also she can create alternate realities. From what I understand, they have the ability to access any timeline. And they can mess with events that might also cause things to be divergent in timelines, and then you get like the TVA. Yeah, there it is. I got it right. I was about to say TWA again. The TVA to come in and fix things. I think I have that right. Does anybody want to add to that?
No, you're correct. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
So I mean that's another thing right there that makes it really, really interesting.
With all of this happening, I just think this will all lead up to the beginning of Multiverse of Madness, and I think the film's gonna be bonkers. I think it's gonna. I've got this feeling it's gonna just be crazy.
Sam Raimi, man.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be crazy.
No, I agree with you. I'm sorry, Matthew. You said Sam Raimi. But this is totally off track, so we can get back to it. Who, by the way, still has produced the best Spider-Man movie so far, which was the first one. That is all. All right, let's keep going.
That's arguable.
See, there we go.
That's my childhood. That was the first superhero movie I ever saw in my life. I'm a '90s kid, so that's the first thing I saw. So I'm a little biased to that movie.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I'm biased to Superman, the movie. Like, that is my favorite superhero movie of all time. That's what got me into superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Batman for me. And much like you, Durbin, because I know you're the same age I am.
Yep.
We saw that in theaters.
We saw it in theaters the very days it came out.
Oh, you guys go back.
Oh, we go back. We are
we didn't see it together,
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we go back as in we're 80s children, and that's part of our history.
Right. But we did meet in like 98, so there's that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
know it's been sort of like debunks the whole thing with the young girl with is it in the church with the I'm thinking Mephisto and everything. So what are people's thoughts on that? Because to me, when I looked at that and I'm thinking Mephisto and everything else, but
I don't know much about Mephisto. But when everybody was going gaga over Mephisto and WandaVision, and they pointed at that window, I went, "Oh, is this where they're putting?"
Yeah, that's.
But then they made it sound like it's not. That it's another variant of Loki.
There's a point I want to bring up with that. I don't know if you guys heard the news about Loki being gender fluid.
Yes.
That's something that's I don't know how much you guys know about the comic books. So
I know in Norse mythology.
Norse
like shapeshifter and everything.
I think I know where you're going, Matthew. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is because he, Loki, like you mentioned, Norse mythology, can change into anything, and I would dare to say he's also species fluid too. Because
he turned into a snake and he freaked out Thor. Remember that? Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. So he can turn into anything. So what I'm thinking, I saw a lot of people commenting this on my reaction video to the episode, and I can echo it, and I think I can speak for them when I say, I don't know if you guys know about the female version of Loki in the comic books.
Yeah, I
don't actually.
You know about there's a female version of Loki in the comic books. I think the variant is that female version of him. And I think the kid also in the church could also be a variant as well.
Oh, that would be interesting if the kid was a variant.
Would be. Yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd be crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because why then would he let that timeline be pruned? So that's like that adds all kinds of layers.
Because that's the question I wanted to ask you guys too. Actually, I was thinking about it. I don't think Loki's actually in any trouble. Personally, I don't think he's in trouble. I think they need him, which is what Morbius was saying, he can help us. I think they needed him for a very specific reason, which we have yet to find out.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's to help them from him, isn't it? Isn't that what they said at the end? Is that what the reason is?
Which is the irony,
right?
Which is the real irony about the whole situation.
I think now, given what Matthew said, and I mentioned this in my review, that I think that everybody thinks that is the female Loki, but I think, Matthew, that is a misdirection that Marvel wants us to think.
Could be. Yeah.
Well, there's a reason it's shrouded, and you can't see who or what that is. Like, there's a reason. Now, if it was the variant Loki, they would have just showed us, right?
Maybe or maybe not. Now, what I'm about to say might sound crazy. I've heard no one else say it, but I'll put it out there. I think that we could be looking at Doom. That's what I think.
Oh,
and the reason I say that is because I think that one of the reasons that Mobius is important is because he does have a relationship to the Fantastic Four. It's another thing that's exciting. He is a bridge to the Fantastic Four.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he is.
Boy.
So because they did some things to mess with the timeline too. So he came into encounter with them because of that. And I love the fact that he's there because I feel like now he's opened the door for the Fantastic.
Oh, this is exciing now. I did not know that till today.
So many layers to this episode.
You got me excited about that. Because I've been so curious of how they're going to tie in these, like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. How are they going to tie this in correctly without ever explaining of how they weren't there before, So yeah, that's good.
Rub. Yeah, I'm ready.
See, now Jaden says Doom does have connections with the TVA. I know very little about Doom. Like what I know of Doom has come from the 2 Fantastic Four movies and the Fan Four Stick. So that's like all I know about Doom. So like this is going to be really interesting. Like if you're right, like if that turns out to be Doom, that's going to be really.
Doom held the Infinity Gauntlet too at one point.
Yeah,
Doom is crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
he was also the leader of the Illuminati's too at one point.
Yeah, Doom is formidable. And if there is something, if there is a way for him to know about time travel, like Jaden and Jaden's comment right there about him being part of the TVA, I can totally see them using this as a way to bring Doom in, maybe bring Doom in as the villain, or bring him in just with the Fantastic Four, and it would be. It would just be such a great misdirection because So
man, Doom. I've never heard the Doom theory. That
would be perfect though, because with the movies, I mean, to be honest, I know everyone here is gonna shout at me, but I did love Rise of the Silver Surfer. I love that film.
I love it too. You're not alone.
I love it, man. I love Silver Surfer.
I just recently watched it for the first time.
I know.
I hate it like I thought I would, but
it's not. I know that it's not as good as the content that we're seeing now. But it's because I love Silver Surfer so much. But the more recent one that came out was not a success. It wasn't a good movie, and so people have got that. They're worried about another Fantastic Four. Whereas I'm really not. I think that it would be done, or I'm hoping that it will be done the right way. And if Doom is involved with this, I think it would. It's wishful thinking, really, but I think it would be the perfect segue to get them into this. So I don't know. Let's just fingers crossed, really.
Marvel has the receipts. There's no reason for me not to trust them with Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
they had a decade
exactly.
Behind them, I trust them with my wallet.
Yeah.
Now, I do fall into the minority of people that actually liked Fan Four Stick. Conceptually speaking, the movie itself was a mess because studio involvement and Trank was showing up drunk or whatever. But conceptually, that movie I loved. I loved the tone he was trying to go for, and I wish we could see some sort of his version of the movie.
Wait, Stevie, you talking about Rise of the Silver Surfer or
no? I'm talking about
the
newest one, Fantastic Four with Josh Trank's Fantastic Four.
Okay,
yeah, it was one that wasn't very popular, but I follow.
I'll have to watch it again because that's the thing with movies now. We're so influenced by social media and platforms and what everyone says about something. So when someone trashes something, that's immediately in your mind that something's going to be bad before you watch it.
I miss those days when it wasn't.
I
like
liked
Me
the
too.
first half of Fan Four Stick, but the reason I don't like the movie is because the second half was a different movie that
Mhm.
didn't follow up on any of the promises whatsoever of the first half, and then it just sort of ended.
Ended,
So it
yeah.
left me incredibly disappointed. So that's my reason for. So I get what you're saying, Steve, because it's like, oh yeah, like the concept is there, and the tone is interesting, and they're approaching it from a different angle. Like all of that stuff, I'm behind. But it's like two movies. One that looks like it's going in a good place, and one that falls flat on its face.
It is, but like his depiction of Doom, and I'm sorry to go on the rabbit hole with this one, but the ending with Doom at the end of that movie to me was like just such a great depiction of Doom, where he's just exploding people's heads all over, blood splattering against the wall. I just absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, studio involvement really hacked this movie up, and I get the complaints 100%, but as I said before, conceptually speaking, I think it was a great movie.
Could have been something.
Yes,
I'm going to watch that. I'll watch it again tomorrow on your recommendation. I'm going to do that.
Well, now I got to watch it.
Awesome,
I guess.
sir.
Yeah.
You started a movement, Steve. Everybody's rewatching Fan Four Stick.
It's been years since I've seen it, but like before, I don't mean to segue, but sorry about this, but it's a thought I had. I didn't know that people, just to add to your point about social media and influence, I didn't know that people hated Green Lantern until I started my YouTube channel and I started my Instagram page, and I went online and I was like, people hated this? I'm like, oh my God. When I was younger and I watched it, I'm like,
it was pretty bad, Matthew.
I know that now. But
Well,
back then,
to an older audience, it could be bad, but just like Batman and Robin, the younger audience, kids, 10 and under. My son tortured me with that movie growing up because he loved it so much, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait till you're old enough to realize what horrible of a movie this is.
You know what? I used to love Mr. Freeze because it was so funny, and I watched it again recently, and it's so bad. I mean, it was never great, but when I was younger, I just thought it was so hilarious. I just thought it was so cool. It's Arnie as Mr. Freeze, and when I watched it again now, I'm like, this is really, really bad.
Is it as bad as the original Doom?
You know what?
Yeah.
But you know what I think it is? And this is an interesting thing. I think that back then, you were just so wowed by seeing this stuff with live action.
Yeah.
And like I feel like story and all that kind of stuff didn't matter as much.
Not as much as it does now. Yeah.
Right. So now we've gotten, exactly. We've gotten better stuff. So we look at stuff and like, no.
It's still, I'm still, when you think about it, really think about it, it's quite amazing. I'm not trying to bad language. I was going to nearly. It still baffles me when you think about it that we've actually had I'm still shocked by the content that we've actually had when you think about it from when I was younger, when it was just sort of Batman Returns, the odd movie here and there. When you think about the amount of content that's come with it all being linked together, it still kind of baffles me, and I kind of praise Marvel for that, because it's quite impressive when you think back to Iron Man 1 all the way to the end, everything that's happened, all the little links between everything. I just think I still think it's incredible. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they've been able to roll all that out and link it together is absolutely amazing. And then the way that they've been able to keep it going. Like I think the move that they made with Disney to start doing the shows, which is great because it lets you do more character development, which you'd have time for in a movie, and then linking that to the MCU, I think that's genius. Yeah,
because like we never would have seen a WandaVision. We never would have seen, a Falcon Winter Soldier maybe as a movie. I don't know, a Loki. So I think, it's great. I do think it's very good. And I'm glad that they're putting the time and effort into the shows the same as they are with their movies.
Yeah, they are very high quality shows, which, speaking of the show, if that is Doom, let's go with that theory. That's very interesting because then it makes you ask the question, why do they think it's a Loki variant? Like that I love the layers and the questions this is piling on.
Wouldn't they know? They seem like the know-all, end-all, be-all. At least that's the way they presented themselves. I feel like they would know that. I don't know.
Well, how many twists do we have in the MCU? We don't know the Time Lords yet. We don't know them.
No twist, Urban. Everything's cut and dry. We know what's going to happen.
No, I personally think there's got to be some type of cap to it. I think there's some type of nonsense because they might be saying that hey, this is that this is what it is, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case, because there's always the concept too that nature always wins and always finds a way, regardless of what happens. Because you would think, are the timekeepers also a force of nature, or are they just part of nature?
Yeah. Now that's
another deeper thing. You can get some real Joe Rogan, like real deep stuff with this stuff, man. Neil deGrasse Tyson, all that. Makes you really think. I was thinking about this stuff midnight. I'm like, wait, are they really like gods, or are they just pawns of God? What is this?
Right.
Like, like what's going on?
So here's an interesting thing about that, though, Matthew. And I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. In the comic books, or at least in somebody's run, somebody's story, there is a point in time in which Kang kills them.
Oh, so they would be part of nature. They're not above it then.
Oh, they're part of nature. Oh, yeah. This whole TVA thing is capped then.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it does beg the question for me. Like, you kind of touched base with this a little bit earlier, Durbin, but are they doing good? And like, it almost seems wrong, like them saying, no, everything that has happened is supposed to happen. You're supposed to stay on this, on a certain timeline. It felt wrong. It almost like devalued the world that we've grown to know and love. And I almost want to see them be defeated, just even in this first episode, on that concept alone.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. When you look at that screen, it's one single line. There doesn't seem to be a multiverse. So what if this show is the fight for the right for variants to live, to have free will, to make their choices, which creates this multiverse of madness? So like whatever they're about to encounter with these space lizards that run this timeline that they call the sacred timeline. I mean, I asked this in my review, like, is there an end of time that these guys see that things have to work that direction? But that's only if they're good. But if they're good, is it really good that they take away people's free will? So are they bad? If they're bad, like there's so many questions that keep going around in this gigantic circle.
What is morality? What is morality?
Yeah. In this universe with those lizards, what is morality even? So how do you even
is morality just a human concept that we come up with?
I will tell you though that I think, and this is an interesting link, because I think that this is going to link to WandaVision, because I think Wanda is going to be the one to break up the timelines. And it's interesting. Because she's a Nexus being. And it might start with her looking for her kids. I don't know, but I think she's going to be the one to do it. And it's interesting because there's a little Easter egg in this where there's a poster that says all Nexus beings should be or must be pruned, and it's on the wall. And I think Wanda's going to be the one.
I saw that, but I got to go back now. Wow.
I'm going to have to watch this again. Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to rewatch
I watched
it before this.
3 times. I got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you have so much time, Durbin.
Yeah, I've seen it once just because I've been doing like other content and stuff. It's just like I've wanted to, and because of this, I was like, I've got to watch it again, and I've just not had time. So I'm going to. Yeah, I've got to definitely.
Let me, guys. I want to post a question at _ ask and see what you guys think about that. You guys can see it there. He's saying, I was wondering about that too. How far in the future does there?
Can I answer that question with a question?
Sure.
Go ahead.
First of all, I gotta say, I love shows. This is why I love shows like Westworld season 1 specifically, but Westworld and shows that really challenge your brain because it makes you think. And I like thinking. Thinking's fun, but sometimes, but it makes you ask the question. Again, I mentioned it is can you change the future, or is it already written for you? Is your life, does it already, the beginning and end, is it already created for you? Is that path already created?
I think
or is it like one path that leads to different side roads that come to different options that all lead to the same ending anyway? But there's just different, when you're trying to get home and then there's traffic and then you got to take the side road.
Yep.
But either way, you're still going to end up home.
I think, I believe
somewhere in the back.
Yeah. It's the same, like when you're looking at Loki in this show, it's inevitable that he's meant to die. And I just got this. I don't know what's going to happen. None of us really know what's going to happen, but I think this is kind of a way of him. Like for me personally, because I love Loki so much, it's going to be a way of him being the person and the character that I've always wanted him to be. I know he's a pain. I know he's bad, but he can be good. But I've always got, that's what I said in my review. I've always got this thing about Loki where I think he can do the right thing. And in the end, like he stabs Thor in the back and I'm like, dude, like you can be good. You can be a good guy. And I think because of what he's seen now with his mum, that messed me up. Like that messed me up. And it's like, he didn't believe it. But because he see what with Thanos, because he's seen what's happened, I don't know whether what I would like to believe is that he can never really truly redeem himself, but he will try and be a better person because he knows the outcome of what's going to happen. He knows he already knows now what's going to happen to him.
I agree with you 100% there. I was thinking the same thing while watching it. Especially when Thanos killed him, but even after that. When Thor's over him, mourning the loss of Loki, even that's like, wow, I did all this stuff and still my brother, is crying over my death, and exactly. It's humbling, and I think I would like you. I kind of root for the underdog. I root for Loki to be a good guy, and I feel like this is a good.
I think he's so funny. He's so funny.
I think this is a good opportunity for him to come back in a more humble mindset. But I think it's also going to leave the door open for him to be plagued with his past. Like, okay, what are you up to, Loki? He's like, no, I'm serious. I've seen the error of my ways or whatever, but no one's going to trust him. And that's going to create a new dynamic, in my opinion.
With that, let me bring this up because something you said, Matthew, triggered this thought. And then what you were just saying, Stevie, think about this. This Loki was nabbed from the Avengers 1 timeline, right? And in the first Avengers movie, his motivation is to rule because freedom is life's great lie. Now, for what we know of the timekeepers, that is their very belief system.
That is
right? If they're running time, then the idea of things forking off, that's a bad idea because freedom is life's great lie. And so Loki seems so far, but maybe in a different way, have the same motivation as the timekeepers. Because on the one hand, he wants all his own choices. He hates this idea, watching that film strip and watching his life play out. It was emotional, but you could see that was all predestined. That was all planned. That's how it should have gone. Nobody chooses my life and my destiny but me.
Did he say?
He wants to rule everybody else so that he can pick their destiny. I mean, that was his motivation in the first Avengers movie. So this is a very interesting dynamic, which is why that variant could be an actual different variant of Loki to that extreme.
Didn't he say that? Because I know you said you watched it 3 times. So correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he say that? Oh no! Didn't he ask the question that is this the world's the universe's greatest power or something like that? He said.
Yeah, he did ask that.
Yeah. So to go back to that other question too, I was thinking of the theory from. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson, guys. I'm a huge fan of his work, but like he was bringing up a point about the expanding universe and the Big Rip. I know people don't believe the Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. There's debate on that, but using that concept about the expanding universe and the Big Rip, where things stretch out and all end, everything just ends. A lot of that has to do with time and the known matter content of the universe, what we know about the universe. So to answer the question about how far does their watched time go, I would dare to say that it's just endless. I don't think it actually has an end. But if this is all an illusion, because didn't Loki say this is an illusion a couple of times?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But I always wonder what he was referring to when he said this is an illusion. I mean, at one point he's railing in anger against the TVA, like this must be an illusion. But then at some point he talks about his need to rule and inflict pain. Like he doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want to inflict pain, but it's part of the illusion.
Well, I think Loki making that statement about this being an illusion is an attempt for him to really try and make sense of it because almost he operates within the realm of illusion, and if he can say that this is what that is, it makes sense to him. So that's what I think he was trying to just kind of rationalize. What's going on.
Well, until he saw that Infinity Stones are paperweights. Is this the greatest power in the universe?
That was the impactful moment.
It was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I laughed. I did laugh at that scene because again, it's shocking because when I see it, I was literally like, what? It was just shocking. But
it's so hard to know with Loki because I feel like Loki is Durbin, you could do wonders with this with a theological analysis, but I feel like Loki is a clear representation of almost a person with a duality of good and bad in them. Because Raymond, I think that there is a part of Loki that wants to be good, that wants to do what's right. But then I also think that the mischievous part of him is present as well. And there's always this pull and push.
Yeah. It's why I love the character.
He can't help it.
Yeah, it's why I love the character so much. Can't help it. It's just, I don't know why I love the character so much. It's that you know that he's going to end up picking the wrong path, but you've just always got the hope of, come on, like go the other way.
He always has an ulterior motive. He's like, I'll help you, but what's my backup plan for this?
Do you know? I know.
What am I going to get out of this when this is done?
he's like the Jack Sparrow of the MCU.
And I know.
That's a good comparison.
I don't know. It's a little bit off subject, but it's like one of my favorite scenes ever with him. Is I think it's in the Ragnarok, the get help thing. I don't know why I think that's so funny and so brilliant because all the way along he's going to do something to try and screw over and I think he try to do the electric thing again, and he goes, no, I've got, and it goes back on Loki, doesn't it? When they come out the lift, they do the get help thing, and he tries to trick Thor again, doesn't he? And it doesn't work for him because he just can't help himself, and it's just like I'm disappointed, but I know it's going to happen.
And even in that movie, there's another thing too that he did. Remember when what's his name, man? Sir, or the one that was destroying what was his name again? The one that just put the whole sword in the middle of Asgard.
Heimdall.
Heimdall.
Not Heimdall, the big evil thing that destroyed Asgard.
Surtur, yes.
Do you remember when they were, Loki was helping them and everything? Even in that scene, he was like, "Ooh, Power Stone, mine."
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna take
that's
that
true.
real
That's
quick.
true. He's still gonna grab something when there's anarchy. He still grabs a little something. Oh, that'll come in. I'll use that later. Yeah. It's true. It's what I love about him.
Yeah, I mean, nabbing. It's interesting because I feel like there's definitely there's this duality in Loki, which is interesting. This is an aside, but I don't know if any of you guys are watching or have finished watching the second season of Ragnarok on Netflix.
I haven't started it yet.
Yeah, but Loki's in there, and they kind of show his duality there too. But it makes sense, right? Because I know he is the adopted stepson of Odin. But his birth father, I mean, he is originally a frost giant, and they have very different natures.
Speaking of the birth father thing, one little thing that I really love that they did was they called him Loki Laufeyson, not Loki Odinson. Right? Called it by his real name, and that showed you the power they had, because they're like, no, we know that you're not really Odinson, you're Laufeyson.
Yeah,
and I was like, it's a little thing, but I was like, whoa, they know.
Well, it is a little thing, but that's what they keep showing, and like you said, Al, theological analysis. Because here we are looking at the ultimate power in this place. Is this power good? Is this power evil? Whatever it is, at this point, it's making us confront ideas of predestination or free will. Are we actually making choices, or are things predestined to go a certain way? This is. Yeah.
Is it good and evil, or are things just is?
Yeah.
It's just so many, man, like Marvel, they're probably, in rooms with people that are, Christian, people that smoke DMT and all kinds of crazy stuff. All kinds of people in that room, all kinds of religions in that room. They're like, oh, hey guys. All right. How many ideas do you have?
It's crazy to think that we're even having this sort of conversation about a Marvel TV show. It's crazy.
Well, it's crazy. You have a trinity of beings that are keeping a sacred timeline. And this trinity of beings has appointed that Loki is evil because he brings out the best part of other people, which on the one hand, doesn't that indicate at least some measure of free will? Because doesn't that mean they don't have to bring out their best part, but now this adversity helps them bring out their best part? But I mean, to your point, Matthew, does that just mean things just are. So is there no good? Like it's amazing, like the depths now that you have to go, because now you really got to ask that question.
You do.
Because is this trio good or is this trio evil running the sacred timeline? And then how do you define good and evil? How do you define what they're doing with that timeline?
So now that I think about it, actually just thinking about what Matthew said in Durban, what you're saying, there has to be a measure of free will here, because if there wasn't, it doesn't make sense that you would ever get a variant. If everything was programmed, how would you break the timeline? You would just do what you're predetermined to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but then you got to ask the question: what was this trio thinking when the Avengers started time traveling? Like, did that make them nervous at all? Are you going to break? Oh, I see what you're doing. It's fine now. You're keeping everything just. It's like, what is going on in their minds? Because they said the Avengers did what they're supposed to do. Well, what the crap does that mean? They broke up time. They made all kinds of mistakes when they went back in time. I mean, they knocked out Chris Pratt. Knocking him out creates a variant. It creates another stream.
But it's all the little pockets of time too that the ancient one was talking about too, which was a little finicky. But I feel like they're going to explaining a lot more in the show. Because I personally don't agree with how they handle time travel. I'm more of the back to the future type time travel kind of guy.
Yeah.
Flash kind of guy.
That makes sense is they knock out Chris Pratt. So that creates a variant timeline. So the TVA shows up, drop their little thing in there, push the button, and it clips that branch.
And it resets it
which
up.
Then makes you go, well, then what the crap with Captain America? Did he need to really go back through time? And why isn't him staying with Peggy a variant? How is that?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a variant.
I do have a thought on that, and
okay.
I was coming up with this as you were speaking, Durbin, but I'm so bad with names. Doctor Strange's mentor, is that the ancient one?
Ancient one.
Okay. Yeah. What if they, the keepers of our reality are actually in tune with the TVA?
I was wondering that. Yeah.
When Banner's sitting there discussing, what they can do to fix the timeline, and Doctor Strange set this up, they're okay. Well, this is supposed to happen then, so she could back off. He's the strongest of, he's the most powerful of all of us. So then she backed off, and because I was sitting there thinking, okay, well, when Loki took, the Tesseract, and that's how he disappeared in Endgame, and that's what shot him to where he is, didn't them having to go back, to the old army base and meet Tony Stark's dad, wouldn't that be part of that new timeline? Wouldn't that have been clipped? And I started thinking about that. Well, what if that was supposed to happen with that free will? Okay, well, that happened, but this can work out too, as long as they go back and place the stones exactly where they got them. As long as they play the TVA rules, that free will can still work. Does that make sense, or was I rambling?
Yeah.
No, I got what you mean. But but what I'm thinking about too, though, because Marvel doesn't use the conventional theory of time travel. They use a whole different new branch of theory. When you look at like quantum physics and you study what that is, and you talk about time theory too. That's another specific study within physics, right? So when you get into that, you hear them say, Paul Rudd makes a joke about like, oh, well, what if I go back there? Or even Don Cheadle says, what if you just go back to little baby Thanos and, do that? Yeah. And then you would think that the fraction of a millisecond, a millimeter off of where you put something would change something, right? That's the conditional.
Yeah, the butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect of the whole thing. But in Marvel's like, no, that doesn't matter. You can put that thing. Let's say it was, I don't know, it was on the corner right hand back of the room. You can throw that thing on the corner left hand front of the room and it'll still be okay. That's what Marvel is saying. And then it's a little, and then it contradicts some things too with the Eye of Agamotto with the Time Stone, because that's supposed to be, as everyone thinks, again, it goes back to the Infinity Stones being these all-powerful sources of matter, right? Pieces of matter that control the universe in some regard. So it's like the Eye of Agamotto, this Time Stone that's supposed to control the stream and flow of time. It's now nothing. It means nothing anymore, because this TVA people can just, they have their own Eye of Agamottos. They can just go and plop a time bomb thing and reset it.
So but that it would only mean nothing. I'm thinking probably, I guess, in in
the grand scheme of things.
Oh, okay. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and like the overall aspect, because again, people would say, the Infinity Stones, we control the universe, or we control. I wouldn't even say. You know what? I don't.
Well,
okay.
is the
universe.
TVA
Yeah.
in the universe, or is the TVA outside the universe?
I think they're outside of the universe.
That's what you gotta ask.
I think they're monitoring the universe, and they only come in when they have to, and that's what I was kind of leading to coming up with this theory that maybe, Doctor Strange and his whole team of wizards are almost in tune, like general managers of this universe. That's where I was
kind of like the
to go
Green
with
Lantern Corps in a way.
Kind of, yeah. Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Because that actually makes a crap ton of sense. Actually, you onto something, because that just reminded me about Guardians of the Galaxy 2. There was a whole other sorcerer. Let's not forget that. Remember, there was another sorcerer in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh yeah.
Wait, who was that?
There was at the end of Yondu's funeral. In that scene, there was another sorcerer that was doing things, but he wasn't human.
Interesting.
You guys gotta go back and look at that.
Yeah, I have to watch that.
That just remember it. Reminded me of that. What you're talking about, but I gotta go check it out.
Y'all in the comments, let us know. Let me know if you're onto something, man. You just triggered my memory. I'm about to go, because now do we have the Grand Sorcerer's Corps, where different parts of the universe are like you said, general managers, or CFOs and stuff of the time continuum, and then you get TVA existing in a plane that does not exist within space and time, but outside of it, and like you said, observing it, like the security people at the mall.
Yeah, I was also thinking during one of the discussions about how far in the future do these people see, and I was also thinking that maybe they're ahead of the future and they can see this timeline coming and kind of manipulate it as things go. I don't know. That was just a thought that they could actually go ahead and look in front of time as opposed to running parallel.
No, they said the alien did exist. The red one, the alien sorcerer.
Yeah. The other thing that's trippy. Okay, so and this goes back to the question of free will, because how many futures did Doctor Strange see? 14 million.
That's right.
Number of futures.
That too, yeah.
And he helped guide it to the one where they beat Thanos. So if Thanos had won, because there's only one slim chance they had of winning, would that have fit inside the trio's idea of the timeline? Or like you said, Matthew, with the Doctor Strange and the Wizards being kind of like the Green Lantern Corps, and they are given permission and they vow an oath to keep time, is that just part of him keeping time to guide it to that one point where it's supposed to be?
What if he saw the other? What if in those 14 point something million futures he saw? What if he saw the other ones, the other beings, in a way where he's like, "Hey, man, don't do that. You got to let him die, because that's how it's got to go down." And then because all of this is happening in what must have been what it feels like to go to purgatory and spend 3 days. It might have been 14 million years in purgatory. Or something.
Man, it had to
come back, and you're like. You come back. First of all, I don't know how Doctor Strange didn't have any straight up mental issues after that. Because if I was up in that,
his brain is now open to magic.
Man, I was out. I'm retiring from life for the rest of life. I'm done. I've done my thing. Not fighting no more. I'm done. But no, that's a really good question, man. It's really
Underscore gave us the number, Matthew. Let me post it about the number of realities that Doctor Strange said he saw.
Oh, that man. But it shows you free will versus predestination. In their own free will, there were 14,605 futures where they lost, and only one choice that led to a future where they won. And now you come into I don't even know how to phrase where I'm going, because that's how deep Loki takes this by taking us to the look above time, where Infinity Stones don't matter.
That's the genius of this show, and that from the minute that they introduced that, from the minute Loki got glocked in the face, and it was the slow-mo shot, and they were like, "Here's a little collar for your neck." I was like, "Nah, this is it. This is a whole different thing this is going to be the best show that we've seen all year from Marvel so far.
I think that did set the
gonna be
tone
great.
because it kind of said, "Hey guys, you know you've seen sort of 20 odd movies and everything else. That's just like that there. Just throw it out the window."
And
Throw
the
it all out the
looping
window.
thing when they press the button and it just keeps going back. I'm like, oh man, y'all crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, can I figure out how that little thing works? Like, what is that? How does this work?
I did ask a question. Here's a good one for you. I don't know if anyone will be able to answer this. I said when that happened, I said in the reaction video, I said, right, if you've got one of those, you can go back 10 seconds in time. What do you do with it? And I couldn't.
Well, you saved the Galaxy Quest ship from crashing into Earth, and you recognize who the bad guy is, so you save the whole crew. That's what you do with it.
Just like that, just bang.
That was very beautiful, good, Durbin. Thank you so much. You just justified our Galaxy Quest watch party that we had.
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
So I'm wondering, this is going to take us to the Eternals, but did anybody see, because I was looking for some tie-ins to possibly the Eternals with that. Did anybody see anything?
I know so little about the Eternals. And
I know nothing about them.
So nothing that
Okay.
If there was something there, I was oblivious.
Okay. I didn't know.
The Eternals is a whole different thing. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a channel called RDC World 1. They make a lot of these really cool skits about things. And they made a skit where the Avengers reacted to the Eternals trailer. And then they were like, where were you guys at when we when we needed help with Thanos? Y'all was just sitting in the corner drinking Starbucks and stuff. Like they were just hanging out, chilling in the middle of the woods. So I think the Eternals is a whole different thing because we're seeing that that's going to be one of the most beautiful Marvel movies we've seen, by the way.
It looked great, man.
Chloe Zhao is on a different level, but her directing style and cinematography, the people that she chooses for that is crazy. But with the Eternals, right? What I'm thinking now is we're seeing this TV, and obviously we need to finish Loki to really grasp what's going on, to really see what's going to be de facto. But from the trailers, it looks like if they came to help people. I know they're going to change some stuff from the comic. I know in the comic books they did similar things. Some of them had ulterior motives, but they kind of, hey, man, look, make fire. You can make fire by doing this. Basically shaped mankind to what it is today. So you would think that, is that something that the TVA allowed?
Or did TVA come about later if things got a little too crazy and they're an afterthought? They're like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. Let's hone this in. You obviously need, universal parents to control your situation.
And also sidebar too, I just remembered, speaking of that, he said shield, right? Made me think of sword. And it made me think of Nick Fury and also made me think of the Skrulls. Did you guys see the Skrulls?
Yes.
In the beginning of it?
Yes.
Wait, in the beginning of Loki?
Yes.
I did not. No, go back.
He gets the ticket. It's around that time, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, Secret Invasion is coming. People not seeing this stuff. If you guys are familiar with the Secret Invasion comic books.
I saw it in that
it's coming.
Heroes animated series, and it was very cool. But then the movie flipped it where the Skrulls weren't the bad guys. So it's
are they though?
Because
as
far as we know.
Because look, every person in the world, there's always a group. There's always that one guy. When like you're doing a group project back in school. There's always that one guy that just has to mess something up. Everybody could be cool with it.
The Loki guy.
Like every group, every racial group, every religious group, no matter who it is, there's always that one guy or that group of people that think completely different to how everyone else thinks. When you're trying to show someone something and it doesn't work, and you're like, yeah, man, we're good people, trust me. And then there's the other Skrulls like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to rule the world. I don't know what you're trying to tell me. I'm good. So I'm thinking these Skrulls, they didn't show that for no reason.
Yeah,
they didn't show that for no reason. Like, definitely go back and check it out. I think.
That was one of the few things I did sort of pick up on because I was like, huh? Yeah, there's nothing is a mistake with what they're doing. There's something there.
and also the witches too. With I'm now thinking about WandaVision now. All these different beings with powers, and abilities, and different amounts of control on some aspect of the way the universe works. It's amazing the amount of potential that we have that this show and this recent phase is bringing us into with Marvel.
I'm gonna throw a wild one out there, which is a bit of subject, but I think the White Vision will return in one of these.
Yeah. Well, he's got to return,
because when he kind of left, and then he obviously, I suppose, died. The vision within her, in the show.
Right.
But I'm thinking, well, what's happened to the White Vision? I think somewhere along the line he will have to. It will be when people least expect it. It will just be in a film or something, and then he will just show up, and we'll be like, "Oh my god!" I hope so, really. Because
you know what I hope happens at the end of this season. I hope that it's not a Loki variant. I hope it's Agatha, so we could go back to that song. It was Agatha. That would be awesome.
This Loki episode, it really opened up. Let me rephrase this. It has kind of made me understand why they did what they did with WandaVision. Quicksilver, that whole multiverse. Oh no, it's just a weird boner joke. Okay, so they why wouldn't they use that to open the multiverse? Well, according to what we've learned in this episode, that wouldn't have worked. That wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have been able to pluck somebody from the multiverse and put them in her universe. The Quicksilver, brother swap. So, because that was such a missed opportunity, but now it seems like it makes sense why they couldn't do that with Quicksilver. Does that make sense?
And it could still happen too. It lets you know that the potential, not necessarily for the X-Men version of him, but there could be some other version of him for sure. But I do agree. That's a good point that you're making with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially with Doctor Strange, when they open up the multiverse of madness, I think you're going to see a whole many variant characters just come out of the woodwork, but it makes sense now why Disney and Marvel chose to not have him be in the multiverse and have it be actual, Fox's X-Men Quicksilver. It kind of gave me closure on that aspect.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing too, because kind of thinking about Quicksilver, and I don't know why, but I'm thinking about the Eternals, because I do think that the Eternals too is really going to be an origin movie, in the sense that, again, kind of like what I believe Loki's doing, the Eternals will introduce the X gene. Is what I think, and I think that's going to open the door up for it to bring the X-Men into the
X-Men. Yeah.
So, because that is very much a part of what happens with well, I don't know. I can't remember if it's the Eternals that do it, or if it's the I think it is the Eternals that do it, not their overseers. And now I can't remember their overseers' name. Somebody in the chat tell me who that is. The three machine-looking guys. Tip of my tongue too.
Are you talking about the Watchers?
Not the Watchers.
The Watchers too. What about the Watchers now?
I don't know.
Remember they're supposed to take care of things.
Yeah.
Do the Watchers not mean anything anymore? Oh man. The Celestials. Celestials. Yeah. Celestials.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's so many ways that it can go, but I think that this is it's really exciting again, because it expands, like Matthew, like Stevie, like some people were saying, all those different types of beings now that you have. When you eventually you'll have mutants, you'll have magical beings, you'll have all these different, and you'll have beings that are off of off world. We got the introduction of that with Thor and Guardians and all that. But again, it really expands it. So I want to ask a question then. Take this in a little bit of a different direction. Given who we have now, or given the heroes that we've seen in the MCU so far, would you say that there are still heroes that are too powerful for the MCU? I will tell you that, given what we saw with Wanda, who I've long since argued is the most powerful Avenger there. I even put her over Thor. I know some people might disagree with that, but
they're wrong.
So yeah, I mean, she's a beast. Do you think that there are still some people that are just at this point still too powerful for the MCU? I'm just curious to know what y'all think about that.
I think so. There's quite a couple characters because there's one that we still have not seen yet.
Are you gonna say one above
Adam.
all?
Adam.
Okay, Adam. Oh,
We haven't
Warlock.
seen
Right.
Adam. We haven't seen him.
We haven't seen Adam.
We have not seen him.
He's kind of introduced, sort of like he's.
But
being
how long
made,
ago
but they
was
never
that
brought him-
though?
Yeah, a
man, that was a
long time
minute
ago.
ago.
Yeah,
That was like
and a post-credit scene.
Post-credit scene.
I'm sorry, guys. Who's Adam? I've missed a train on this one.
Adam Warlock.
Oh. Say it again, Matthew. I cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just answering this. I was just saying the name. That's all. I said Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock.
Yeah, he held the Infinity Gauntlet in the comic books, and he was actually a key player in ending all of that. He was the only one that could hold it.
I need to let everyone know I don't read the comic books. I'm a movie fan, so I didn't know who that was. Okay,
but Stevie, you remember in the movie when I forgot the race of people, but they were all like beautiful and golden. And when she says in the movie, she talks about their greatest weapon or their greatest something, and you see this like big golden cocoon. Adam Warlock is inside. That was some Guardians, and Adam.
Yeah, Guardians too. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Totally didn't catch that. Like I know what you're talking about. I would have to know the comic books to know that, I guess. So, well, thank you for letting me in.
Sure.
I thought that they were gonna actually introduce him to set him up for Infinity War.
Me too.
And Endgame, because he's actually one of the OP characters in like all of Marvel. He's one of the top. And then of course you have characters like Kang, which we already got confirmation that he's going to be coming. And the Celestials, even if you get deeper into the Celestials too, actually is a lot more powerful. And they kind of dumbed them down in Ragnarok, but it's okay.
Do you think they'll bring back Galactus?
Galactus is another one too. I think the day that they bring in Galactus is the day that they're ready to end the MCU.
Yeah.
Ooh, it'd be hard. It'd be really, really hard.
He's a big player. He's like a Don. You don't want to, like, Galactus is a major one.
See, all I know of Galactus is the cloud that eats planets from Rise of the Silver Surfer. That's all I know.
That's the funny thing. He's literally like a giant, and all these planets are like little pebbles.
Yeah,
and he just eats them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
he's like Pac-Man.
Yeah, Pac-Man.
I think you could do it. I think you could bring everyone in. I think that people know that to some degree they're going to have to be nerfed. Like you can't, like for example, I'm not even going to mention him because he would just be like, because he is almost like God in the MCU, the one above all. So you probably couldn't bring him in, but. I mean, in Marvel Comics, but you could bring in whoever you want, and people would know, like you would have to nerf them. But I think if you write it well, I think people will accept that. That's my personal thought.
Yeah.
Are you guys upset that they nerfed the Collector?
I don't know anything about the Collector outside of the MCU. So
man, the Collector and that whole family of people. They're crazy people in the comics, man.
Well, he was crazy in the movie, so I could assume.
No, I mean like crazy in terms of power and prowess and just everything. They're like gods. Yeah. These guys are crazy. They give Thor a real hard time physically in his book.
They really show off the lowercase g of Thor.
Right. Right.
And they nerf those guys, man.
I hope he returns the Collector because I think Benicio del Toro is such a good actor.
Yeah,
he's such a great actor. And
is he dead?
The Grandmaster too, actually. That's
I don't know.
He's the sibling too, I believe. The Collector. Matt Powerful
was Goldblum, played by Jeff, right? Yeah.
I was okay with it because they made it funny, and I was like, oh man, I was a little disappointed at first because again, the Grandmaster and the Collector, the two of them. Some of the most powerful beings in the comic books, but it's the MCU. They're gonna change it up. So I was like, you know what? They want to make him a joke, so it's fine. I'll laugh. It was funny, so it worked out either way.
I didn't even know that he was related, but isn't it funny how Loki keeps ending up in places where time flows differently? The TVA and then that Lost World.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a quick question. how do you guys think? I forget. Does this Spider-Man new movie, does that come out after the Multiverse of Madness?
I have
I
no
think
idea.
I think Spider-Man is no, isn't Spider-Man later this year, December, and I think Madness is 2022. I think.
Okay, so like
think
here's my question then. Depending, yeah, if you could look that up, Al.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
2021 for Spider-Man and
Okay.
Multiverse of Madness in like a year or two.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
so this makes me wonder exactly how the Spider-Man movie is going to play into this multiverse thing. Like is what's going to happen in Loki not directly going to Multiverse of Madness, but is it going to leak into the Spider-Man movie?
Spider-Man.
And like we're going to start
Oh.
seeing consequences of actions before Doctor Strange has to come in and like, okay, I got to clean this up.
So what
or what have
happens?
you.
So what happens in the Loki show then could be what causes the other
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Mans to appear. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
That's why, because obviously they've got
Man,
to
you
appear
are-
for some reason.
You on a
That's-
different level, my brother.
that's a
I didn't
good
even
one.
think about that.
I didn't either.
That's different. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
that's-
I'm just happy to be here today. Thank
You
you.
know what's
guys.
going to happen? You know what's going to happen? The Spider-Man's going to begin, and he's going to be in the middle of some sort of action fight sequence, and then Tobey Maguire's just going to fly in like, what? And he's going, how did I get here? What's going on? It's going to be.
I would love to see all three of them: Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, it would be so
man,
good.
that'd be great.
Not only all three of them, but I was actually talking to my son, and if you guys don't pay attention to my channel, my son is a big voice on my channel, and we were having this discussion about the Sinister Six coming into the Spider-Verse, and all this stuff. I was like, well, what if the Sinister Six ends up being, different characters from different multiverses that somehow escape the TVA or whatever Doctor Strange is going to do, ends up being the Sinister Six, but each character is from a different multiverse. This one's from Tobey Maguire. This one's from Andrew Garfield. This one's from the cartoon series, but they come together as one team. I just thought that was a really interesting concept.
It literally opens up the door to anything.
Yeah, I think it's great.
That's really interesting, and I would love it to see that happen. To see whatever happens in Loki cause all kinds of weird effects that bleed into a live action Spider-Verse movie, building up to the Multiverse of Madness. That would be amazing.
This show is the first domino in a stack of ones that are about to fall.
I agree.
This is, and a matter of fact, I would dare to say, I would dare to say that it is the second domino, because we had WandaVision at the end of that started experimenting with these different, realms or different, reality bending.
Her ability
stuff.
to shape our current reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's almost like the reality stone herself, right?
But the end with her reading the book and everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just that sequence alone. I think that was the finger that pushes the domino, and Loki is the first domino that falls down.
I will agree with that. Wanda is the finger that pushed the domino. I'll agree with that.
That's what I'm thinking.
This will definitely affect Spider-Man. I think you've just nailed that. I really do. I think this will be, because how else do you explain the other Spider-Mans appearing in the movie? Like, there's got to be something's going to happen in this to cause that.
Yeah, if you who has a really, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think is it Cosmic Wonders channel. I love his breakdowns. He has some really good.
He good.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. But I was so happy when we got WandaVision, because I would always tell people, see, you all, the WandaVision you saw in Avengers is nowhere near what her power profile is really like, and we finally got that exposed in WandaVision. So I was really happy about that. So,
and it's really cool, that little added touch where she is reading the book, because if you remember when Doctor Strange went outside of his body and was reading the book, his body was sleeping. Like, his body had but in WandaVision, she was making coffee while she was ghosting
in
and
the
reading the
middle
book.
of Iceland.
Whoa.
Do you know something? I'm gonna have to. You guys have given me a list of things I need to rewatch. I mean, I've seen WandaVision twice anyway, because I loved it so much. But now we're talking about it again. That to me shows just how good the Marvel stuff is, because once you start talking about it, like, someone will say this, someone else will give you this other idea, and I think, you know what, I've got to watch the whole thing again just to You know, there's just so many things to pick up on.
And that's seems to be the Marvel way of doing things. They as specifically WandaVision itself. You know, the first I did a review of the first two episodes, and then I realized that I hate doing TV reviews, so I stopped. But you know, the first three episodes just they were painful for me. Like it just I was just like, oh my god, what's going on here? Give us a little bit more teaser. But the rest of the show made me want to go back and rewatch it, and that's why I say about Loki. You know, like him, watching himself is another way for you to go back and revisit. You know, the Thor movies and the Avenger movies. It's a very good, very well played out system that Marvel has to intertwine the past with the present to make you want to go back. Oh my gosh, that's what that means. Or I heard this started in this movie. Let me go check it out. And they've really mastered the art of creating a universe, you know, a digital world that you can go back and press pause and play on any moment of it. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing. Listen, character wise, I'm a DC fan, but Marvel has definitely got this universe and potentially in the future multiverse system down and how to intertwine it all together.
Well, speaking of the multiverse, sorry, Al.
No. Go ahead, because I was going to go in a different direction. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no.
No. You're good.
Okay, no, I was just going to ask a question since you just give me a question. I was thinking about do you think the multiverse is repairable? Can it be repaired?
Ooh.
Will it and should it be repaired?
I think that's the question of Loki, right? That's what this show is going to dive into, because right now it's clean. Should it be clean?
Well, we almost will have to look at the multiverse like the mutants and X-Men. You know, it's going to be a strange new thing, an evolution to the world. You know, should we adopt it or try to, you know, clean it away from the world? It's going to be, I think, one of those issues that it's going to be two-sided. Which side are you on? You know, keep the multiverse, get rid of the multiverse. We were happy with the way the world was, or we should be considerate and empathic to, you know, these beings that actually exist in these other multiverses that the TVA's been killing off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what to add to that, because I think it could really do that, where your team multiverse, team against multiverse, and I think Marvel could do a really good job bringing in fans into those teams, but loving what they watch.
Yeah. So and you know, just you know, Durbin. I mean, controversy sells.
It really does.
Yeah.
And that's what this multiverse can bring in, is like a whole new element of controversy into the MCU. You know, just.
I was going to say, Steve, if I were the MCU, honestly, and I know people are going to think this shameful. Probably some people in the comments might think it's shameful too. I would keep the multiverse, but for nothing else, to give me access to other things when I want to bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course they're going to keep it around. I mean, they can go back to any movie, you know, pre-existing the MCU, and just cherry pick all this nostalgia. Oh, it's a nostalgia tree. Let's take this. Let's take this.
And then there's the What If series too, guys. We can't forget about the What If.
I can't wait for that too.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm
for
excited
that
about that.
That can give you a nice.
You know what? When you're saying about cherry picking stuff, that was one of my favorite parts in Endgame, the lift scene. Hal Hydra in the lift. I mean, that was such a bomb scene for me. Like,
it was.
I thought, what is he going to do? Like, he's got the thing. What is he going to do to get out of this situation? Hal Hydra. I was like, that was just so good.
So great, yeah.
And he just walked out the lift smiling, and I thought that was just brilliant.
Yeah.
And just think how easily the multiverse solves the problem with the X-Men franchise, because each movie forgot the other movie existed and they have no continuity. So now you're just like, oh, each movie's just a branch from the timeline with those people.
That's true.
Well, one of them was, which was my favorite, probably Days of Future Past was. So.
Oh, we got to bring the TVA into that one, man. I mean, come on. Wolverine
I love
screwed
Days
some
of Future
stuff up
Past.
or made it
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Well, like they did when Deadpool went in and killed the old version of Deadpool in
Was that canon or is that just jokes in the post credits?
It's
That's a rumor.
it's canon now. It's whatever Deadpool wants it to be. Durbin, haven't you learned that yet? 2 movies. Come
I
on,
guess
man.
that's true. Whatever Deadpool wants, Deadpool
Yeah,
gets.
they're brilliant films. They are.
This Hugh Jackman looking at him like,
Do you know that's another thing again? Sorry, I know I keep going off subject. It's all these little scenes keep popping in my head. I think it's Deadpool 2 where they're fighting in the prison and he says, "You're so dark. You sure this isn't DC movie or something like that?" Well, it's all those little things when they pop up in movies. Those little things that
those
just
fourth
cracks me
wall
up. It's
stuff
just
is amazing.
brilliant.
Wait. Are you telling me Deadpool is a Nexus being who is
Uh-huh.
so Nexus that he looks on the other side of the multiverse and even sees the DC multiverse?
Deadpool is the key to a DC MCU crossover.
Yes. Deadpool, I think, is actually Mephisto.
Oh,
That's a
I don't
joke.
know
That's
much
a
about Mephisto, but why not?
I'm just keeping the meme alive.
All right, guys. So listen, we have we've run an hour and 30 minutes, and I've got to wrap up because if I don't have those dishes washed before my wife, it's going to be a problem.
Take note,
So-
Matthew. As you're about to get married, these are things to remember when you do live streams. Are the dishes done?
I'm taking the notes. I'm taking them.
But no, man, I really appreciate you guys hanging out. This was fun, man. It was.
I loved it. It's been great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was really great. I mean, Loki's such a good show. I'm looking forward to the next five. I think we got 5 more episodes. I think there's like a 6.
Yeah, there's 6 total.
Okay, so yeah, man. So I appreciate it. Everybody in the comments, thank you guys for hanging out so much. It was awesome. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Definitely more to come, and hopefully we can connect with each other again and talk about some other things. I had some DC versus Marvel questions, but I guess I gotta let that go for right now.
And that could be its own video.
Why don't we all just come back on another date and do those DC versus Marvel?
We definitely should. I'm down for that too.
Yep.
Let's do that because
say the word.
I don't know how anyone else feels here. I know there are a few unfortunate people. I think Ramon is one of the unfortunate ones because he said he was a DC guy. Now because I am unapologetic. And let's see, Durbin's chiming into unapologetically Marvel. So
ain't nothing wrong with that.
DC.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, guys.
But
unapologetically both because they can both exist in my heart.
Exactly. I'm with this guy. Wherever he's at, there he is over there. I'm with this guy,
man. Matthew,
I will say though, I love DC Comics more than I do.
Do you know
Marvel Comics?
I think the most tragic thing for me as a fan of both is that DC isn't organized in terms of the structure of how things are done. Because with Marvel, it got quite going on not a hiatus, but quieting down after Endgame. If DC was in control of what they were doing and organized to the extent that Marvel was, it shouldn't be a problem. Like you say, it shouldn't be a problem, and there should be 2 gigantic things happening at once. It's sad. I think it's sad really because they've both got such great properties, the both of them.
Well, maybe if Discovery buys Warner Brothers, we can have that rectified. So
yeah.
I mean, and you're right. Like, this is something that we need to come back and visit because I would love to get into that conversation about what is happening with DC, especially in their live action stuff. DC's animated stuff is rocking.
Yeah. Isn't that always the question? Isn't it always the question? What's happening with DC? What is going on?
I think you have to accept DC. Once you accept what has been going on with DC this last decade, once you accept that, then you can just enjoy it for what it is.
I think the Flash movie is going to help tie it all in to make it just like Marvel's
Keaton
doing.
Is returning. I mean, I'm excited for the Flash movie, but it's for Keaton.
Yeah.
You see how this can go in amazing discussion? Al, we definitely got to set it up.
Yeah. You got to stop now or we're going to start your dishes are going to pile up and that's not going to be good.
Yeah, no, you know what? We definitely have to go there because you're right, Stevie. This question is an age-old question, but I would love to have the discussion with you all because I'm really not sure what the heck is going on. That's all I'll say. Like, I don't understand why this is
Warner
not
Brothers
working.
know what the heck is
I don't
going
think
on?
Warner Brothers knows what's going on either.
Yeah,
So-
they're well. I could just keep going, so I'm just going to shut up before I just start a
Do
whole
you
new
know
train
what?
of
I mean,
thought.
I don't know the ins and outs of what, without going into the detail of it, but all I see is you've got the people that run DC, and then you've got, in my mind, you've got DC and you've got Warner controlling everything, and Warner do not have a clue what they're doing. That's just how I feel. Because
And,
how can you
you know-
mess up when you've got so many great characters? And like, how? I don't
And that's
get,
the difference between, again, that's the difference between DC and Marvel.
That's
Because Marvel is
exactly
its own thing. There's its
Yeah.
own company. You know, Bob Chapek is just like, hey man, here's a check. How much we writing? 30 mil? Okay, that's it. Do your thing. I'm gonna check on y'all later. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They trust them to do their job.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, man. Well, listen, you guys gonna get me in trouble. Let me write down the name so she and I tell my wife she can call you guys over Facebook if she want to talk to you directly.
I'll you can have her call me first.
I'm the youngest. I'll take the blame.
Well, no, I'm really good. I'm really good at talking people down. So bringing them to a more calmer level.
Yeah. When Steve, you already were in the doghouse because when my mom called, you were talking about me talking to my mom.
Oh, I remember that.
So,
boy.
Oh man.
You guys, thank you so much for hanging out. This was awesome. Again, thank you to everybody who was in the stream. You all for hanging out. It was a lot of fun. Before we chime off, can everybody just give where they can find you again, just real quickly? Final rundown. I'll put all this in the
Description.
Thank you, man. I'm telling you, man. There's something wrong. I need some pills. There's
You
something
got
wrong.
you got the dishes on your mind.
You just
That's all
need
you think
another
about
cup
right
of
now.
coffee. That's what you
Yeah,
need.
man. You scared of an ass whooping. So yeah.
You got the dishes.
Yeah.
You can't let them dishes stay in the sink.
Yeah, you're right, Steve. I'm afraid. Listen, my wife is 5 foot even, and I'm 6'5", and I am afraid. So,
I'll start. I'm Stevie Cade. I'm with the channel Film Trigger. You can find me, of course, on YouTube and all the social medias. I do movie reviews, live watch parties, all that fun stuff. So please come over to my channel, give us a like and a subscribe, and you might see some of these guys, especially the two new guys. I really enjoy talking to everybody here. I think I gained some new friends for sure. I'd love to invite you guys over to my channel for one of my live watch parties or a discussion like this at any given time. So thank you for having me on. I know I was a last minute addition, so I appreciate the invite and you letting me discuss with you guys. Thank you.
of course.
I'll go next. Likewise, it was nice meeting two new faces for me as well. I mean Durbin and I and Al, we go back on the YouTube space a little bit. Grotner Fresh and all of our other friends.
Oh
games
yes.
and stuff.
Yep.
Sean Chandler back in the
movie
trivia game times, man.
I remember, and I almost won one, but lost on a Man of Steel question. What the crap?
I
is that?
just did
I
bad
know.
on all.
I couldn't remember the word Kodaks, and I lost. Sorry. Continue on, Matthew.
You're
The
good.
Kodaks.
For those who don't know me, you can just find me at Matthew V. Haynes on everything. It's Matthew V. Haynes, and I do movie reactions, trailer reactions, TV show reactions, discussions, live streams, podcasts, music, you name it, not everything. So make sure to definitely check that out.
Awesome.
Yep. Over to Durban.
And I'm Durbin, and I got this channel called Durbania. I review movies, rank movies, movie talk. I think the thing I do the most difference is the theological analysis, where I love to dive into movies, find theological themes in God. Don't have one for Loki yet. I want to see a little bit where it's going, and then I'm going to take the stuff they do, and I'm going to dig deep into it. It's going to be awesome. So would love to have you come over and check it out.
What is Steve doing?
He's showing a picture of us from high school. I've known Steve since high school, so back in the 90s.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
Oh,
I've got nothing like
beautiful.
that. I've got nothing like that. That's how can I beat that? I've got nothing. That's so funny.
He had you ready. He had you ready in the back.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
He probably got more pictures too.
Oh no, he's got pictures and embarrassing stories. This dude has got all the ammo you could ever imagine. And so it's always a joy when he's on a live stream that I'm on because I never know what's gonna happen.
I told you, I'm that guy, that one guy that ruins everything.
You're the
It's
one guy.
And my name is Ramon. I've got a channel called Hit or Miss TV. If you type it on any sort of social media platform, you'll find it. Been going for about 2 months. Come over. I do films, trends, news, and reviews. Post on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. If anything major comes up, I'll always post like on a weekend or whatever. But yeah, I'm posting weekly. And yeah, that's me.
awesome.
All right, awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thank you kindly. And I will see you all on the next video. Notifications, ladies and gentlemen, to all of us. Thank you kindly. All right, Darksiders. We'll see you. Peace.